Right.
Okay. Okay. Great. So, how can I help you, Mansi?
Okay. So, okay, I have a few list of questions for you, which I'm very like excited to ask you. So I hope
Oh,
you can answer them all.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so you come from an IT background and now you're a children's author. So how did you take that sudden and drastic change to writing books?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I think it's time and your circumstances that basically dictate where your life goes. And I do have an IT background, but I also had two very young children when I started thinking about these books. Um, and I wanted to teach my own children about festivals in India, and I wanted to teach others as well, but primarily others, not just Indians, but like children from any background, from from um, any culture globally, who would be interested in learning about Indian festivals. So I think it's a great way of learning about different cultures through their festivals. So I started thinking about this series when my children were, I think, 4 and 6, and I realized that at least here in the UK, there really aren't that many books that represent Asian children as the main protagonist, and so that's what basically was the reason why I started thinking about the series, and then I eventually launched it.
Yeah, that was a very unique idea.
Thank you.
So Dave and Ollie, your book characters travel all over the globe on fun and exciting and terrific and thrilling adventures. So please tell us more about Dave and Ollie.
Okay, so Dave is actually inspired by my own son. He was pretty much exactly the same age. He was 6 when I started thinking about this idea. Sorry, 4. So I made Dave a little bit older in my books, just so that older kids can also relate to the character. He's a British Indian boy, just kind of, hungry to learn about different things, and is always curious about his situations that he's in and the circumstances that he's in, and wants to learn. And I thought it would be really nice to have a companion with him in the stories that is a little bit of a kind of grandfather figure in the sense that, owls are old, wise owls, right? And they know everything.
Yeah.
So I kind of worked on that concept a little bit more, that this cuddly toy should be an owl, in my opinion, and in my imagination that I'd pictured Dev, with a companion, an owl was the perfect one. And also, actually, what inspired me to use an owl with Dev was my very own experience with an owl, a real life owl, when I went to a bird park in Japan many, many years ago. And I had this owl, and I saw this owl flying around in the middle of the day. They're nocturnal usually, right? And this owl was wide awake. And I actually then had the owl sit on my arm, and it just looked right at me. Turns its head and looked right at me, and I was just completely mesmerized by its eyes. And that feeling of like seeing wisdom in the owl's eyes, I actually kind of felt that. So I thought, okay, I have to use an owl for Dev's companion. So that's how the two characters came about.
So it was from your personal life.
Yes, yeah. You'll find that authors quite usual use their personal life experiences to then create characters in their books.
Okay. And is there a special message or something that you want to spread out to people through your characters?
I think for me, the inspiration behind the series is really that children from any background ideally should be learning about other backgrounds and other people, because that way that makes them more caring, more empathetic human beings. If you are aware and understand somebody's culture, and you understand that through a festival experience, for example, here in the series, then you certainly grow more empathy towards that community. And therefore we have, global citizens. And my inspiration behind the entire series and my message to everybody is to raise global citizens.
That's a wonderful message.
Thank you.
So how is a picture book different from a regular children's book, and what were your experiences writing a picture book?
Picture books, I mean, I'm 43 nearly, and I still love picture books because I think there are two different types of books, right? Picture books, obviously, with a lot of illustrations, and then you've got the chapter books. Chapter books basically encourage readers to imagine the world that they're reading about themselves. Picture books are obviously a lot more vivid. Having said that, I think picture books, especially for the young target audience that I was aiming the books towards, picture books are absolutely essential to their learning in terms of relating the text with the image, but also reading behind the lines through the image and in the image. So it's actually quite a difficult task to write a picture book because you have to have that fine balance between the text that you're writing and the image that is illustrated and depicted in the picture book, and which way around you want to do it. That, you know what I mean? Like, should something be portrayed in the picture, or should something be said through the text? And so that is a really tricky kind of balance to get right. And I really enjoyed that process and that kind of a journey with my illustrator, because I would write the text, send it to him, and then in my mind, I'd have certain ideas about what the illustration should look like. And then obviously, him being an experienced illustrator, he would come back to me and, with his own suggestions. Then I would have to refine the text a little more or edit the text a little more. So it's quite a tedious process of going back and forth, back and forth.
Okay. And you're a pretty successful author right now. So please answer this on behalf of most of the authors and writers. So should the writers and authors writing a novel or basically writing anything come up with names for their books before they write the outline, or should it be once the first
Nancy, I'm so
basic
sorry, I can't hear
outline
you
is
very
done?
well. Say that again, please.
Okay. So should the names for the characters of the books be written before the outline is developed, or should it be once the first outline is done?
The names of the characters? Okay. I believe that when I have the character in my mind, I like to give the character a name first, because with the name is attached the personality. And I can't picture a character or a personality without a name. So I think the most important thing to do, to be honest, is to develop the character in great depth and detail so that you know everything about the character. The character is practically a living, being. And therefore, it's very easy to give the name to a character. If you start thinking about a character and it's a kind of a shell personality, it'll be harder to write about the character in the book, and you'll also find it difficult to then give it a name. But that's how I kind of feel personally. I developed Dev and Ollie, and I developed their characters in my mind as much as I could, with as much detail as I could. And then finally, I just suddenly went, that has to be the name.
Okay. And you've published, self-published all of your books, am I right?
Say that again. Sorry, I can't hear you, Mansi.
You have self-published all of your books, am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so and you managed to self-publish all of your books and then turn them into a success. So please share some tips for all of the self-publishing authors out there.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. So I've self-published all my books.
Right. So can you please share some tips for self-publishing authors, the authors who self-publish all of their books? You know?
Oh, sorry, did you mean like, would I recommend it?
Yeah, right. And also, tips, some few tips will be helpful. Like, how can you manage to self-publish all of your books and still turn them into a success series? You know?
Sure. Okay. So I think with self-publishing, it's a very, very difficult, challenging journey. Firstly, you have to be mentally prepared for it, because it's not just about publishing the book. It's also about marketing the book,
Hello.
and it's about reaching your target audience through social media. So, somebody like yourself, for example, getting in touch with me, it gives me great joy and pleasure that you found out about the book series. Um, it's a very long journey. Success usually doesn't happen overnight, but that's the case with, to be honest, even published authors that are published by publishing houses. There are very, very few authors that make it extremely, extremely big. The most important thing I would say about writing books is to always begin with the very most important motive, which is your passion. Um, I personally feel that if one thinks more about monetary rewards, then your journey will become frustrating because it's not that easy. And secondly, with self-publishing, as I said, it's like a business, to be honest. So, of course, you're writing for passion, but then after that, if you do want your books to be out there, it's a very, very tedious task of marketing the books, constantly being on social media, trying to engage with your audience, trying to find content that you can post on your social media to share with people that will find anything related to Dev and Ollie or festivals or traveling around the world experiences interesting. So the other thing with self-publishing, especially if you're working with an illustrator like I did with picture books, is it's not cheap because you have to pay for the illustrations. But I have really enjoyed the process of working with an illustrator, and I've absolutely loved working with him and also learning from him. If I was a published author, I think, from my understanding, I believe that you don't actually get that much input or say in what the illustrator is drawing for your books. And so the relationship between the author and the illustrator is not as deep. Whereas with my picture books, I've really enjoyed working with the illustrator, and I think even he's enjoyed working on the books, and the characters are kind of alive in his head as well, and there's a lot of working together in a partnership. So I think that's one of the not one, but I've mentioned a few points here in my advice about the journey of a self-published author.
Okay. And you had the awesome opportunity to meet Queen Elizabeth at the Buckingham Palace. So, what were your experiences over there as or through the perspective of an author as a writer?
So I mean, that experience of being invited to the palace was just surreal. It was something that I still look back at, and I actually pinch myself and wonder if it actually happened. Being there as an author was actually very elating, because I was there for the event was all about kind of the cultural exchange and the cultural relationship between Great Britain and India. And because my book series in particular is all about these festival experiences, i.e. Indian culture, I felt like I represented our culture really well. And being an author of especially a children's book series, I represented it really well, I felt personally, because I'm there representing what the cultural experiences should be like for the next generation, and how they can learn from this, and how they can develop, more kind of globally aware children and citizens.
That was a wonderful opportunity you had.
Thank you, Mansi. Sorry, I can't hear you, Mansi.
So, what are your future plans for Dave and Ollie? Like, have they booked any tickets to fly to more cities, more places all over the world?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Thank you. So the next book I'm writing about is actually about the festival of Onam in Kerala.
Okay, am I audible right now?
Yes, I can hear you now. So the next story that I've actually started writing about is based on the festival of Onam in Kerala. And I'm actually really excited about that one because it's a very different subject as well. And then after that, I think I'll take a break from Indian festivals and I'll start moving to more kind of international festivals. The Tomatina festival in Spain, where you throw tomatoes at each other, that being one of them. Funny enough, I've had the story completed and I've had it sitting at my desk for almost a couple of years now. But just kind of haven't, started on it. And I thought actually the Festival of Onam just kind of came to me, and I thought I would rather just have 4 books based on Indian festivals, and then I'll move on to international festivals. I think there's a delay, Mansi. I can't hear you.
So we all look forward to the release of the new book.
Thank you. I think there's a delay in the call.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but here we'll have to stop for today. And I hope I get a chance to meet you soon because I had a great time interacting with you.
Thank you. Likewise, Mansi. Where are you from? What's your background?
I'm I'm able to hear you. A little bit of lagging, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. So where are you from, Mansi? Which part of India are you from?
Okay, I'm from Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Okay, yeah. So what's one big festival that is celebrated there? Is it the Ganesha festival, right?
From Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Yeah. What's a big festival that's celebrated there? Is it the Ganpati, right?
Yeah, right. Recently, it was the Ganesha festival.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ganpati, and then there's Diwali, Holi
Yes, of
also.
course.
But most of all, like Ganpati is the favorite of the local people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I might write a story on Ganpati as well.
Which part were you from in India?
Me, I was, I am from Delhi, but I was born in Rajasthan.
Yes, I'll look forward to it then.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mansi. Do keep in touch and send me any books that you are writing or plan to write. I would love to be able to help and give you any more guidance that I can.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the offer. I'm very glad to have interacted with you. It was a lovely time talking to you.
No problem. Likewise. Thank you, Mansi. Bye. Bye. Mhm.